it's that time of the season, or the pre-season, when everybody is itching to get over the white line, and you must be pretty excited about Sunday in very many ways.
Yeah, but I think we just, I think it's very important we just try and take it in our stride. And, it's a long season, and the number of points that you get after 46 games it determines where you finish. But the first game is always full of optimism for every team, and we're no different. And the fact that it's on TV is an honour, I think, and gives the club some profile at the beginning of the season. So in all respects we're looking forward to it for many different reasons.
Does a TV game affect the players? It's kind of few and far between at conference level.
Well, you say that, but it's become more prevalent over the past few years. I think most of them are used to it by now, and I don't think anybody thinks about it when they walk over the white line come 12 o'clock, to be perfectly honest.
You've been working on putting this squad together since January. How do you feel about where you are?
Well, I think we're in as good a place as we expect to be. Pre-season's been productive. Players have worked hard. They've all had enough minutes on the pitch to be able to make an impact this weekend if they're called upon. But nothing's obviously decided in pre-season. We all know that. And come Sunday, it's a totally different ball game. But there's a belief in the group and a confidence in the group, and I think a confidence around the club. And every result that we can get from now on will build belief and confidence, and I think that's important. So for those reasons, a good start would benefit everybody. But as I've said, it's how many points you get after 46 games that determines where you finish. But the players have worked hard this pre-season, and they look in good shape. They came back in good shape. The games have gone well. How relevant they are to what happens on Sunday is open to debate, but they've done everything we've asked of them so far.
There is a palpably different atmosphere around the club and around the squad this season. It's not just optimism, it is determination.
Yeah, I think we've worked hard to put this group together. I think we should be very pleased and proud that they've all bought into what we want to do. They've signed here in many cases for less money than they could have gone elsewhere. But I'll just try and put things in perspective a little bit. Forest Green signed 2 players this week whose combined salary would be 25% of our budget. They're extras. And I'm reading this morning that Luton are trying to sign Paul Benson, whose salary would be 25% of our budget on his own. So that's what we're competing against. It doesn't mean that we can't compete, because we can. We think the 18 players that we've got, aside from the 2 goalkeepers, are a strong group, but we have to be mindful, obviously, that a number of injuries could bite us on the backside. Now, what's going to help that? Well, a good start from the team on the pitch means more people on the terraces, which means that the club will have something up their sleeve to be able to help us if we need it. And I think, really, the reason I've said that is just to show people where all the clubs sit, in terms of financial resource.
I had the pleasure of sitting next to your chairman on Wednesday nights, and A, he's very excited, and B, he says that for the first time since he's been at the club, everybody is pulling together in the same direction, and there's a massive sense of unity and purpose. Well,
I think that's true. And what we now need is that unity and purpose to transmit itself from the players on the pitch to the people on the terraces, because that's the crucial bit. I think every group of football supporters at the beginning of every season, are optimistic that this could be their team's year. A lot of that is misguided, but I think there is genuine cause for optimism. But it's yet to be done, and I think along the way there will be some bumps and bruises and some ups and downs, and it's at those times when you really find out whether there is a unity amongst the club. Because whilst it's always player-led, the atmosphere, the way that people feel about their football club, it's always led by what happens on the pitch. There is a transverse of that in that sometimes you need it to be led from the terraces. And it's at those times where the team needs the support most. So probably we'll find out whether there is a real unity on those occasions when they occur. But for sure, the chairman is right in that we're trying to put everything in place to make sure that we are moving in the same direction.
That 1-0 win against Norwich kind of illustrates what you just said. I mean, the crowd were absolutely behind you from the off, goal aside, and it was an indication of possibly what they can expect this season.
Yeah, that's a case of, I think that was a case of it definitely being led by the players, because Cunnington scores after 3 minutes, and therefore the atmosphere is built right from the off. I've got no doubts that those things will happen. But as I've said, there will be times when the players are indifferent or not achieving what we want them to achieve on the pitch at any time. And it's at those times when you need a real unity in the club. So if we can get that, I think it can take us a long way.
You've had a lot of support over the summer from the chairman and from Jez George, and that's kind of been instrumental in putting together the squad that you've got.
Yeah, we identified 11 players from January through to April that we felt would improve us this summer and give the supporters some hope and some excitement. And we've signed 10 of them. And it was a battle to sign every single one of them. But we moved quickly, we brought them to the training ground here, they liked what they saw, they liked what they had to hear. And I think they recognised then, but they certainly recognise now, that this is a club that does things maybe differently to other clubs in this division, in that we spend a lot of resource on the things that can improve players. So we invest in our people, we don't spend all our budget on salaries. We spend it on the other things as well that make sure that they can develop both as individuals and as people. So good training ground, proper health and medical insurance, food, all those types of issues, proper medical service, proper physio service, full-time sports scientists. So we take care of all of their fitness and health needs as well as what happens on the pitch. And their social life, their lifestyle, we take a lot of care, we pay a lot of care and attention to that. And, they bought into it when we spoke to them, and, just listening to them and talking to them, they're really pleased that they've signed, and they're pleased that they're playing for a football club that's been able to meet the promise. That's why we've been able to get them as opposed to other clubs.
Promotion is kind of the ultimate aim of anybody in the division this season. A lot of people at the club have tried and failed in the past. What would it feel like to be the man that delivered it?
Well, look, I took the job at Luton for the same reason. I played for them in the Premier League, or what was the Premier League. To see them in the division that they're in, is a disaster. And you finish second 2 years in a row and you don't get promoted. So I'm not making any promises to anybody. I took the job at Luton to get them out of the league, and I've taken the job here to do the same thing. But you know, there's a lot of people. This league is full of a lot of people who have a lot to say, and in many cases unjustifiably so. So we'll say nothing, stay under the radar, stay humble, and let the players tell everybody what we're about and what we can achieve. You know, because I think that's always the best policy.
Elsewhere in the division, whose summer team buildings impressed you?
It's a difficult question, that, because I think almost every team have signed players that you wouldn't expect them to sign. You know, I think every year there's an element where it sort of drip feeds down the divisions. Every foreigner that a Premier League club signs, you know what I mean, and it gets more and more. And so you pick up the paper and read that Woking or Nuneaton or Alfreton had signed somebody who you'd think in other years they wouldn't be anywhere near signing. And I think the strength of English football is the strength of English football. There's a lot of talk about our elite programme and what the England team does or doesn't do. And I'm not going to make any comment on that here because it wouldn't be my place. But the strength is that you can go down to level 6, 7 and still see good football, still see a good game and still see players. So it's a long-winded way of me saying that I'm not really going to talk about anybody else other than the fact that it's going to be a tough league. You know, people probably listen to someone in my position, and you know, you say every weekend, oh, it's going to be a tough game and this, that, and the other. But the reality is, in this league, you have to earn every single tackle, every single pass, and never mind every single result, because it's the way of it's the way of this league. You know, people talk about the Championship being the toughest league. It's not the toughest league. It gets the profile because the rewards of playing in the Premier League are so vast. The toughest league is this league, by a long way. And the reason is that there is only one automatic promotion. And there are a lot of clubs in this league. Let's take Luton, for example. I've been in here now 5 years, 5th year. Because there's always someone, or nearly always someone, willing to spend a lot of money, i.e. Crawley, i.e. Fleetwood, i.e. Stevenage, to get promoted. It means that the teams you would expect to go back up, Luton, Grimsby, Wrexham, even ourselves, have missed out. So that means every year there's another 2 league teams in this division. So this is the only league whereby where there are a lot of ex-league clubs trying to get back to playing in the Football League, and only one automatic promotion spot. So this is the toughest league, not the Championship in my view.
Well, it could be a whole lot tougher at home this season because of the players who signed. Do you think people are going to come and park the bus and try and break them down?
Well, I think people do that in any case. I don't know, we have to find out, don't we? But you know, the reason we've signed what we've signed is because we think they have that extra little bit of ability to create the moments that you need to break those types of opponents down. Yeah, we have to wait and see. I really couldn't tell you. I think the first game is always full of optimism. I'd be surprised if that was the case at the weekend, but we'll see.
You've got a lot of players who've got great attributes in terms of their physicality. They're quite robust. They've put themselves about the park. They can also play as well. But when you need to break teams down, who are you going to be your game changers?
I'm not going to talk too much about them either, because I think it's down to them to show people who they are. You know, I don't think it's right to put pressure on people in that respect. or too much expectation. And B, if I single one person out, then another one's going to,
be knocking on your door.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So let's let the players do the talking. I think those people who've been to watch us in pre-season hopefully will have been impressed with what we've signed and who we brought to the club. And they all bring different pieces to the jigsaw. So on any given day, I think it could be any one of them.
Have you enjoyed the challenge for the last 10 months?
Yeah, I have. It's never easy telling players or losing players because you're being asked to for budget reasons, because you can't explain to people what that does to the dressing room while it's happening. So that's never easy, but we've had to do it, and we did it early enough so that we could recruit what we wanted this summer. So, yeah, from the end of last season till now has been hard work, but yeah, enjoyable. And as I said at the beginning, the players have thrown themselves into it, and let's hope they get their just rewards on Sunday.
A few walking wounded ahead of the weekend. How the likes of Kev Roberts, Tom Elliott, Mitch Austin?
Well, the only two that we have a problem with is Josh Coulson will probably miss a month. Pulled up with an Achilles problem last Saturday, which is disappointing because he's worked really hard to get himself in good shape, better shape than he's been for a long time, because he knows that he's got competition this year. And Kevin Roberts got raked on his Achilles at King's Lynn, and he had a problem with it last year, so it's flared up again. He might be 10 days, but everybody else is fine.
That's pretty good news. Halifax, well-supported club. They bought a few players themselves, and they come up via the playoffs. Their basic requirement next season is going to be survival, because you've got to stay in that division to try and get back to the league, as you said. But what do you expect them to bring on Sunday?
Well, I don't know. I think first of all they'll expect more of themselves than that, for sure. Every promoted team in any league comes up with an exuberance, a confidence, a belief that promotion gives you. We saw a lot of them last year, and we've seen them again in pre-season. We know who their players are, and because of that, what do you want me to say? They're going to be tough opponents. You know what I mean? It's the first game of the season. Everything goes out the window. There's an element of going into the unknown. We think we know about our players, but do we? They'll think the same. Whilst we've done our homework as much as we can on Halifax, there's always an element in the first game of the season where you're going into the unknown. So, as I've said, they're going to come here full of confidence, no doubt about that, and back themselves to get a result. Why wouldn't you?